This suspicious Russian, Mr. Royland. The first thing you should direct your attention towards is, of course... One's eyes are drawn instantly, unpleasant as it is, to these large scissors. What could he possibly intend to use them for? The answer should be obvious if you simply observe. You're planning to cut off that splendid beard of yours. Now, let us move on. Why would he want to cut off that splendid beard? That reason is also obvious. There's a certain piece of evidence that indicates it. I have here a copy of the morning paper. There's a truly fascinating article published in it. And it seems you've also read the paper. So you realize, the proof of your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Revolutionary Dmitry Demoglatsky heads seaward, seeking refuge from Russia. And the photo has clearly captured that conspicuous beard of yours. Having spotted the article, you attempted to cut off your beard before other passengers noticed. In other words, your true identity is clear. You are none other than the fearsome revolutionary, Dmitry Demoglatsky. Well, I've never heard of you until now, so I don't really know, though. Conclusion, you are a fearsome refugee revolutionary. That is a mouthful. And now for the other conclusion. It seems that you're in the midst of perpetrating a certain crime right now. And the proof of that crime? Well, look, it's right there. Yes, indeed, Mr. Royland. When people aren't careful, their line of sight often moves impulsively. And it can be even more telling than words, as well as more honest. If we follow that brief, careless glance to its target, we find our answer. Your crime. The proof of it is in that trunk. I don't think it's about time. Oh, don't you think it's about time you opened that trunk and showed us what was inside? Never. Just what on earth could be concealed in there? As far as I can tell, if one was really determined and forceful, one could probably hide a girl in there. Ridiculous. Just who is the girl stuffed inside your trunk? Oh dear. You're not cut out for crime. Your line of vision betrays everything. Your thoughtless gaze just now has given me my answer. The reason you won't allow your trunk to be opened is written in that newspaper. To tell the truth, this newspaper contains one other fascinating article. On the back of the page with the article about the refugee revolutionary, Russia's esteemed Novovich ballet troupe prima ballerina, missing. There's only one conclusion that we can draw. The crime you're guilty of is abduction. And according to that article, the girl's name is Nikomina Borshevich. You abducted the dancer. This has been Sherlock Holmes' famous deduction. This suspicious Russian, Mr. Royland. The first thing you should direct your attention towards is, of course, the first thing that draws your eyes, unpleasant as it is, are these large scissors. What could he possibly intend to use them for? The answer should be obvious if you simply observe. You're planning to cut off that splendid beard of yours. Does he really intend to cut off his beard with scissors like those? A beard like that probably took a while to grow. I can't really imagine that he would. Toilet-sama himself looks rather puzzled. In other words, this conclusion was wrong. Now then, Naruhodo-sama, let's see if we can reroute his logic here. Alright, but how do I do that? Let's start by examining Roilet-sama closely. To see what he's really planning to cut off? Precisely. So then, when I find the answer, then what? I'll leave that to you, Naruhodo-sama. I went a little ahead of myself. What are you expecting of me? Anyway, I guess I should try rerouting that bit of logic. What could Mr. Roilet really be planning to cut? Pretty golden hair. Hi! You intend to use those scissors to cut your pretty golden hair. Indeed. That's precisely what I was about to say. Those beautiful blonde locks. Honestly, they don't look like something that belongs on an old man. You're a lady, aren't you? And judging by the silkiness of your hair, you're a rather young lady at that. I thought that perhaps if I cut my hair, no one would figure it out. Now then, why do you feel that you must cut off that beautiful hair of yours? The answer is obvious. I have evidence that indicates the reason. I have here a copy of the morning paper. There's a truly fascinating article published in it. And it seems you've also read the paper. I went under that again. But he's talking about the revolutionary. Now that was a shock, wasn't it? To think that that old man was actually a young lady. What is it? Why are you staring at me? It certainly was a surprise, Naruhodo-sama. I didn't expect this, but you really do like them, don't you? Girls like that. To think that you could break out into a gleeful dance at a moment like that. Whoever said I was gleeful? Alright, let's just set that aside for now. More importantly, look, Home-sama's logic. Home-sama's? Home-sans. There's something wrong about that piece of evidence. I believe you're right. After all, Roilet-sama turned out to be a lady. There's no way that cruel revolutionary has anything to do with this. I think we know that now because the flow of logic has changed. The flow has changed. Let's try substituting a different piece of evidence that fits with this new logic. For some reason, that lady wants to hide her identity. I feel like I've just heard about a girl like that recently. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Represent the article about the dancer. The evidence that proves your true identity is, of course, this article about the dancer. Yes, that's precisely it. Russia's esteemed Novovich Ballet Troupe's prima ballerina, missing. That is a mouthful. It seems that we can finally refer to you by your real name. Your real identity is the dancer from the Novovich Ballet Troupe. Nikomina Borshvik. It's just as you say. My real name is Nikomina Borshvik. please, don't tell anyone. Real identity is a refugee dancer. Solved. And now for the other conclusion. It seems that you're in the midst of perpetrating a certain crime right now. And the proof of that crime? Well, it's right there. Yes, indeed, Ms. Vorshevik. When people aren't careful, their line of sight often move impulsively. And it can be even more telling than words, as well as more honest. If we follow that brief, careless glance to its target, we find our answer. Your crime, the proof of it is in that trunk. This girl herself is the dancer, so there's obviously no way she could also be stuffed inside that trunk. Yes, that means that whatever that girl is guilty of, it is an abduction. So what crime could she really be committing? I guess it's up to me again. You look rather pleased all of a sudden, Naruhodo-sama, about being able to gallantly dive into Home-sama's experimental reasoning theater. Leave me alone. Anyway, there should be proof somewhere of her crime. A tiara. The proof of your crime. It wouldn't have to be this tiara by any chance, would it? Oh. This tiara is used on stage by the Novovich Ballet Troupe, right? It certainly is. It's exactly the same as the one in the picture, in the paper. According to the article, the tiara is valued at 20,000 rubles. In other words, perhaps your crime is larceny. You stole this tiara from the ballet troupe, didn't you? Nico has no one on her side. I'm all alone. I need lots of money to survive one. Besides, Nico didn't steal that tiara. The Count of Prussia gave it to Nico. So, it belongs to Nico. 15-year-old fleeing her country all by herself. I'm sure she must be very frightened. Can we be done with this now? Nico will tell you everything. No, not just yet. There's still one mystery about you remaining. What do you mean? You've refused quite stubbornly to open this trunk. There must be a very good reason for that. Isn't that right, Miss Nikomina? There's no point in trying to keep it a secret, for you see, I already have a pretty good idea of what's inside that trunk. Oh dear. You're not cut out for crime. Your line of vision betrays everything. Your thoughtless gaze just now has given me my answer. The reason you won't allow your trunk to be open is written in a book on that shelf. What? Home-san's reasoning seems to have changed from earlier. Perhaps it's because of the new logic he received. It must have changed the flow again. Even so, what's he doing suddenly throwing out something like a book on that shelf? It's obviously just a random guess. Do you really think so? I mean, think about it. What would her reason for not wanting to open that trunk be doing written in one of the books on the ship? That may be true. However, Nikomina-sama certainly does seem to be glancing unconsciously at something in that direction. So then, the reason she doesn't want to open that trunk is probably what she's looking at, is what you're saying. Yes, it seems a logical assumption. What could be in that trunk? Her line of vision ought to tell the story. Not just the bookshelf, it's to the right of it. The rules. The reason you won't open that trunk is written here in the ship rules. Bringing dangerous items on board, such as weapons or animals, is absolutely forbidden. You have one such forbidden item stowed inside your trunk. And that is why you can't open it and show us what's inside. The trunk just moved. There's nothing that falls under the category of dangerous items such as weapons that's capable of moving on its own. Therefore, Miss Nikomina, the thing inside your trunk is one of the other forbidden things, an animal. The new conclusion. You snuck an animal on board. Solved.